Good morning, everybody. Got a little dump trailer special for you here. We work on these pretty regular, and 90% of the time, matter of fact, 97% of the time, I bet it's from here back. And I'll attribute that to a combination of two things. Most of these dump trailers are not built to do what people do with them, and therefore people are doing too much with them. That's your two issues. They're not built heavy enough and people overuse them, overload them, all kind of stuff. Most of these, the floors and the wall liners, are built out of, I don't think I've even seen them with, that floor might be 11 gauge, but I don't even think it is. And then these walls, I'm gonna say that is 14 gauge. Pretty sure that's what that is. Same thing here. This is gonna be 14 gauge. Might have a 12 gauge or 11 gauge floor in it, but they're just built light, and that's so you can haul more stuff. The problems come in, a lot of times these gates, we fix the gates. These hinges are a weak point. You can see this flap here, which closes the gap between the gates when it's shut. That's an issue. This whole back end, and it's not just one brand. This is a quality steel, which I'm not 100% sure if that's Gator made. I know Gator made, I think, has changed. That's what our dump trailer is, or was. But they're all built about the same, to be honest with you. What we're doing here, this is one of our customers, and I think it's actually a borrowed personal trailer. It doesn't belong to the business he works for, but what's happening here, the main issue, you probably can't see it. If I pick up on this door, you can kind of see that whole side moves. You can kind of see I'm picking up on the door, and this whole column here moves. Basically, this whole this joint here is completely just cracked, broken in half. And then so they caulk these things. That's the thing about these freaking, mine's the same way. They caulk all the joints. So instead of welding and actually making it worth a damn, excuse my language, they just caulk stuff. And like I said, it's all just extremely light duty. But they're made to haul 4 or 5 tons at the most. And I think really that's pushing it. I think that's pushing it, to be honest with you. But like I said, our issues that we always fix, they're all right here on the back end. Might have a jack or something bent, but most of the time it's right here on the rear. And what's going on is that, and then also this flap here somehow got bent, which something simple, man, those things catch. But a lot of times what happens, we've had this multiple times, these hinges bend, sometimes because they don't latch it at all, because the door's supposed to latch here in this position when you're dumping, like that. They forget to latch it, they're not paying attention, they're lifting it up, the door swings like that, they raise it up and that hits. Well, it's not gonna take much to bend these. So we fix these a lot. And the jacks there, so there's no jacks in these. Mine's the same way. It's got a stabilizer jack on each side that you basically just pull the pin, slide it down, pin it, and that's used for, I think, mostly loading, putting your ramps on here and loading like skid steers or equipment or something, so it doesn't push down on the rear end and raise the front of the trailer up or the back of the truck, depending on what you're hooked to. So that's kind of the issue on this one. We're gonna fix the flap on the door, fix that, and what we're actually gonna do is put a piece of probably 6x6 angle and run it about maybe 8 or 10 inches that way. And then while we're doing it, just go ahead and do this one. This one's not damaged, but we're gonna fix it and do a little preventative maintenance. And therefore that won't stop any of the material from coming out. It's not gonna stop anything. We're gonna run the angle right in that corner. I've got to go cut some pieces. And then what we're going to do, they don't really use these, but they want to keep them just in case, so they'll have to go drill a hole here, but they want us to cut these flush with the bottom of the trailer, because I think what's happening What's happening is they're dragging some. If they go in somewhere low or something, construction sites and stuff, they have issues with it. So when I cut it off, they'll just drill a hole. If they need the jacks, they'll put them in. But here's a perfect example of what they're doing on these dang dump trailers, man. And it looks like crap. See all that caulk? Looks like absolute crap. I don't know why they do it. They don't do the top. I'm assuming, well, you can see where water's been draining out. I'm assuming so water doesn't go down in here and rust this, but there's got to be a better way to build those things because they look horrible. And after about 12 months, the caulk's coming off, cracking, peeling off, and then you have this. And these are supposed to be powder coated. Let's see if I can get there a better light, get the light out of the way. But you can see up there, there's no caulk, and the water still gets water in it, drips. But they mass produce these things. Most of these, the welds look absolutely hideous. Most of these welds are, I mean, there's not bad there, but most of them are pretty rough looking, to be honest with you. They just, they mass produce them. Yes, I have a beanie on. No, it's not that cold. But when it starts getting to end of October, November, I throw a beanie on in the mornings, and then by 10 o'clock, I'm sweating under my beanie. So we're gonna fix this up real quick, and probably won't take long, maybe an hour. Get that welded up, put the angles on, weld them up, fix this flat bar, which should just be a matter of taking a crescent wrench really and bending it back. I think what's happened, you can actually see here, the weld has broke loose the plate. So this is just a piece of 2-inch flat bar, 2x4. That's attached to that, but they didn't put any welds on this side at all. Zero, none. So what do you expect? So we'll straighten it out, and then we'll have to clamp this in, because you can see the gap there. You can see all the way through where this plate is not even attached. Like I said, they mass produce them. They're in it for the money. I've yet to see a company that builds dump trailers, or trailers for that matter, that is truly there for quality over quantity. You can nitpick these things to death, and this one's it's taking a beating. I don't know what they load in it, but for it to have the swells into like that, that's like a big dump truck we put liners in, because they've been hauling riprap and big rock. But this one's definitely they've got their money out of this one, because you don't see many dump trailers like that. So they've definitely been using on construction sites on heavy material. But looks like this has been fixed already one time before. That's been re-welded or something. All right, enough talking. Let's get to work. So I'll show you the gap in just a second, but I just wanted to check to see how square this angle was, because they are oftentimes not square. This one's off about an 1/8, but I've got about a 1/4 to 3/4 inch gap there. This one's only, I'm sorry, I got about a 1/2 to a 3/4 inch gap here. This side's got about a 1/4-ish. Front is that's where it's tied to the front plate, but then the further you go back, the worse it gets. That's actually over square, it's over bent there. Could be because of the floor. It's got some low spots there, but I'm back to the, looks like second cross member and I'm a 1/2 inch off. So these sides lean out. Problem is if I pull them in, which we can do. Look at that. That's crazy. That floor is probably bent, but you still got every bit of an inch lean out. So I guess what I'm going to do is close the doors and actually check to see what we're looking like. Yeah, so you can't really go in, because if you go in, we got to figure out what to do there, because if I pull that in, so the gap in between these two doors is actually pretty consistent. I don't know if they, I'm just talking to myself here. Trying to figure out how they do that. Now that floor's got some, if I was to put a straight edge across it, if I was to put a straight edge there side to side, there's probably a dip in that, causing the square to be off that much, because they don't like have anything wrapped. It appears that the hinges are both the same. It's not one smaller or larger. There's so much play in that. That's unreal. That's crazy. Just no bracing like this trailer. My trailer's actually got more braces. I've never done that with mine, you know, pushing on the gate, but there's literally this post here. There's a piece of either square or channel in the middle, and there's nothing. So this sheet here is on the inside of this top square, or no, that's actually bent channel. So that's all one piece. So this top, it bends, it's got a 1x2 lip that's bent, and then this goes down and on the outside of the frame, and that's it. There's absolutely no other, holy cow. That's no wonder it's twisted and bent and bowed. There's literally no skeleton to it at all. But the problem is I got that big old gap. So the 6x6 may not work. We may have to go a little smaller to get the gap to close up. Because I can close some of it by doing that. But like I said, I don't want to cause a hazard, I don't want to cause a catch point here for material sliding out. So I got plates cut 8x10, so they're 8 inches wide, 10 inches long, and I'm just bending them in the middle. This machine, when you get to a quarter material, tendency has to underbend anyway, so you have to put a correction in it. So right now I have 0, so I'm gonna put a 1 degree correction, and then bend it again because we're not quite where it needs to be. And then we'll check it and see. That's really close there. Let's see if this one bends the same. too much. Roll with it just like that. Because if I do any more, I think it's going to be too much. All right, so I went ahead and shut the door. I've got my 2 areas prepped where I'm putting my bent plate. Like I said, that's just 1/4 inch plate. We bent it 5 inches up, 5 inches out, 8 inches long. And another one there, even though that side's not terribly damaged, it still leans out, but we're probably around, I don't know, 3 or 4 degrees out of square. But my gap here is pretty dang close. It's extremely consistent, and I don't want to mess that up, so I went ahead and closed it. That's where it needs to be. Yeah, I've got to do this strap back here. I got to fix it, but I want to get these first, tack these in, then I'll fix that crack down there. I'll show you. I'm gonna grind that out, re-weld it. Like I said, I got to watch the wires, but I wanted this closed when I tack this in place, and then once it's tacked, I know it's good. We can open the doors. Welders work a lot better when you have them plugged in the wall. Just wanting to make sure we're not moving. So you look at the gap, still the same. It's not pulling at all. Got that 60% welded. Probably gonna go ahead and weld across the top down there, and then the back I'll stitch. Same thing here. Same thing on this side. So I'll get them, just kind of let them cool a minute. Putting some little butter welds in there. Not too bad. I'm running at, what am I at here? 20, or well, 19.9 on the volts, and then 315 on the inches per minute wire feed. Digital readouts is so much better. A couple of our old Lincolns over there have the numbers and letters. They're kind of annoying. New stuff is good sometimes. Still works, but just kind of laying in some smooth little welds, little circle patterns. Being thin material here, you kind of have to keep your angle of your torch or your MIG gun a little off-centered. You don't want it pointing directly to the center of this weld, because you kind of want to angle more of the heat towards this 1/4-inch plate. You don't want to burn through on that. And kind of have to make quick little circles so you don't burn through your 14 gauge plate there. So not too bad. Let that cool a second. I'll finish welding those two up. Then we'll be on to fixing this plate here, which I'm hoping I can just take and put a crescent wrench on it, twist it a little bit to get it straightened out, and then I'll put a couple stitches on the inside of that door. And then the last thing, simple, easy, take and cut that off. Possibly get in there with a porta band, we'll see. And then that should be it. So let's get on back to welding here. Like I said, I just want to close the doors, make sure everything's lining up like it should be. And so far so good. If it hadn't pulled yet, it shouldn't, because I got quite a bit of weld on both of them. This whole side's welded, this is welded, that's welded, so shouldn't be pulling anything. That about finishes the dump trailer. Got them all touched up with a little bit of black paint. I mean, it's not like it's gonna rust or anything any worse than it already is, but I always like to do that. So the door is off just slightly from where we straightened up this plate, but the problem is the door has got some concave areas in it, just like the bed. She's had a beating, but not in horrible shape. I'm not trying to talk it like it's a piece of junk. It's not by any means. It's not a bad little trailer. They're just a little too light duty. But we got the square tubing for the drop legs cut off, touched them up, cleaned them up. Got the big crack that was over here, grinded out, welded that up, put the angles on, got them welded up, and then fixed the plate. And same thing over here, just cut the square tubing, cleaned it up. She's ready to go. So there's absolutely no movement now in the side of these things, so should be good to go for a few more loads. So there you go, quick, easy, couple $100. You could have made that work without the press brake. You don't have to have that. You could have taken a piece of angle or something, probably quarter, maybe 3/16, you could have taken it and hit it with a hammer while it's laying, you know, the point sticking up, and kind of spread it out to get it where it's not quite a 90, and that would allow it to fit a little bit better instead of having a press brake, cutting a piece on a plasma table and bending it. You kind of got to figure out how to make things work and be able to do the job, because it can be done without all those tools. Those are just things that come along with time and making the money and doing the jobs to get those tools. And as you add tools, it makes your job easier, more efficient, and allows you to technically make more money. So I think that's about it. That's a wrap. Just looking to make sure I got everything that he asked me to do. And there you go. We'll catch you on the next video.